Hi, this is Joshua Meyer from Independent Security Evaluators, and we're back again today. We're going to be doing a live stream of hacking the ZyXEL NSA325. This is a network attached storage device, or NAS. This is the kind of thing you'd see in homes and perhaps a small business, that kind of thing. So today we're going to be looking at command injection in this sort of proprietary command line interface, which is kind of interesting. And we're going to get to it from the web app. So without further ado, I guess I'll get started. So we're here at the web app. This is the login page, and I'm just going to go ahead and sign in, and we'll do a quick little walkthrough of this. So it has this fancy like circular interface. It's kind of fun. We don't really know what it's called, but it says play zone in the URL, so we're going to go with play zone. But it's got several little applications here, and go through and play with things. Here's the file browser, for example. So this is a device that has lots of little services, as you can see. Here's the administration panel, and it's got some services in here. Got things like SSH is turned off. Other little things there. So while we're poking around through here, I have been proxying this with Burp Suite, and this is a web proxying software, so we can go ahead and see what these requests sort of look like down here. We'll go ahead and head back. I'm going to return to this main interface. And today we're going to be looking at something that is, we're going to exploit it through the file browser. So I'm going to poke back into here. And we'll make a couple requests. This is your pretty typical looking interface on a NAS device. And we got some folders and things like that. So we can go back over to the Burp Suite. And over here is a path or a request for this. So we'll send this to repeater so we can get a closer look. But this is like a pretty typical looking API request. We're looking in the admin share, looking at the path is /download, and then we want some grid view, something like that. Not terribly important. And then in response, we see this list of a couple items. We have some paths, permissions, that kind of thing. So that's pretty typical. So from there, we've kind of like looked at the web app a little bit. So we want to see what we can get inside this file browser. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to a telnet. We're going to telnet into the device. And I'm going to authenticate. All right, so now we've got a shell into the device. As we can see, I am admin, and I'm not in fact root though. So that's interesting, we have a low privilege shell. So one of the things I did in my last live stream was we want to look at the application source code. So we're going to do a similar thing today. And we're going to try and find the source code for the file browser. So to do that, we're just going to use a nice little find command. We're going to look for file browser. Some asterisks there at the beginning and the end. Ooh, a whole bunch of stuff. All right, let's suppress those errors. All right, so we have, looks like 6 results for file browser. 3 of these are in RAM bin /user local. So probably some sort of thing where it loads the web app into RAM. So we're going to look at this copy instead. It looks like it's using a model view controller framework here. And these are .pyc files, which means they're compiled Python. So it looks like the web app has some Python underpinnings. But we can also step back to burp. You will see there are also CGI files in here. So there are a couple different things going on here. We'll head back to our telnet show here. Let me make this a little bigger for That's probably a little easier to see. All right. So we found these files here. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a local copy of the stuff I have here. I went ahead and already extracted the files so we can save some time there. And I'm going to go ahead and extract those files. All right. So this is the web root for the web application source code from the ZyXEL NAS device. So again, we have these CGI files that we can see in here. A couple different things. The only one that really stands out to me is this ZyXEL.cgi or ZYSH. So that one's kind of neat looking. What else do we have? And then if we remember correctly, I believe they're in web framework, yes. And in here we can find that file browser application. It should be, looks like we have these three files: models, views, and controllers. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the controller file. Ooh, oh, that's right. Remember, it's compiled Python, so we have to do this little extra step of uncompiling them or decompiling them. And so I'm going to use a tool called uncompile6. This is a Python decompiler. Works pretty well. So we'll use this. All right, and then let's go ahead and set the syntax to be correct. All right, so here we have this decompiled Python file. It actually does a really good job. As you can see here, we have the comments, the original comments from the developers, some little notes and things like that. So I actually don't know how Python compiles. I don't know if that's something you can try to strip out, but they left them in here, so that's helpful for us. And it looks like the first function is the one we want to look at, because we head back to Burp Suite. Remember, this is our request we are looking at, and we are looking at browse up here. So this is probably the function we want to look at. So we have, again, we have these listed parameters here, and it kind of does some things. And essentially, whether or not certain parameters exist, it's going to call some functions. All right, so we looked at that. So remember, we have a few other of these file browser source code files, because this is a model view framework, or model view controller framework. So let's look at the models one, and I think this one has what we need. All right, it's the same thing. I'm gonna pretty up the syntax for everyone. All right, so here we have browse by share, and actually let me go ahead and get these both open. Everyone. Controller. All right. So this is the first file we looked at. This is the controller file, and one of the functions we can see being called is model.browseByShare. Then over here, we are in the models file, and here's a browse by share function. So this is probably something we want to look at too. So first thing we can look at are the arguments. We have share and path and a couple other things. I'm going to swap back to our burp suite really quickly. And remember, here we have share and path, start, limit, view. So this looks like the function we want. If we look through here, we see this. Here's this ZyXEL thing again. And it looks like it's calling something called the ZyXEL client. So it turns out that this is this nifty little utility they have running on the server, and it seems to be doing commands. but these don't look like shell commands. This doesn't look like bash. So let's go ahead and check out what this ZyXH is. So we'll head back to my telnet over here, and we're going to try and find this ZyXH. So we'll look in sort of these typical directories. Inside/bin, I see there's one there. Let's try sbin. Sbin. Sbin has zysh.sh. This one's interesting, a zysh client, and then it looks like a daemon version of it. So let's try to run that client one, because that sounds like it'd be friendly to use. Okay, so we have this sort of like prompt here, but I don't know what to do. So what happens when you're using a terminal command line interface and you don't know what to do? Well, you press tab for like tab completion. Oh, that's handy. Look, it's a whole list of functions here. So it looks like a lot of these have to do with internal, device management things. Dropbox, maybe that handles some of the Dropbox configuration. It turns out that one of the interesting ones is package, however. So if you just take package, let's see what happens. So we had a parse error, command not found. That's a nice error. So what is it looking for exactly? Maybe it's looking for system commands. Package ls. This looks like it can return a directory listing for the root directory. So what exactly is this thing doing? If we do the id command, it looks like the ZySH client utility is running commands as root. So this is kind of neat. What else can we do with this? Can we do like chain commands together? It looks like we can. If we use the semicolon here, it'll terminate the first command, and then we can add another one. So we have this nice little thing we find on the server, or the NAS device in this case. And it has this custom utility called the ZySH client that interfaces with the ZySH binary, I suppose. And it has this command line syntax. You can use this package command to run arbitrary like Linux commands, just normal ones. We used a few here, ls and id, for example. So let's go ahead and get out of this, and we're back to our normal shell, which remember is not a root. So if you do want a root shell on this device, this might be a way to go. So how does this tie back into the web app? Well, remember that source code we were looking at over here? We have share and path. Remember, we saw that in our post request here in Burp Suite. And then over here on the models source code file, no, this is the models. It looks like it is by default going to, we're providing a share, so it's going to run this if statement, and it's going to add these commands to the ZySH client, browse, share, and then it looks like it's going to put in our share and path. So based off the two files that we looked at, it doesn't look like there's any sort of sanitization going on here. So let's see what we can do. We're going to head over to Burp Suite again. And then instead of something like download, we're going to create this sort of, not your typical command injection payload, but a ZySH command injection payload. So the first thing we're going to do is put a double quote here. So that way we can escape out of that. We're going to do, some of this is URL encoded, so it's not going to be terribly pretty. I'll go ahead and type it, and then I will explain a little more about what's going on here. Hopefully I don't do any typos. So what we're doing here is we're going to terminate that command that they're trying to run here, this browse share command. Then we're going to add this semicolon. This %3b is the URL encoding for a semicolon. And if we remember when we were using the ZyXH client, we could use semicolons to separate commands. So we'll finish that first command that they have, and then we're going to terminate that, and we're going to start our own command. And this time we're going to use package, which remember runs shell commands, and we're going to use telnetd, which, as you may be able to guess, starts a telnet server. We're going to use the -l flag in combination with /bin/sh, and what this does is it essentially gives you this listening born shell. So whenever you connect to it, it'll just drop you into a shell. And we're going to specify the port to be 8383, because remember, it's already got a telnet server running on port 23, so we need to pick a different one. Then we're going to end that, and then we're just going to finish out that command that they were running. So let's go ahead and try this out. Document is moved. Maybe we got logged out. Let me try it. Yep, all right. So let's log in again and get some fresh cookies. I'll go ahead and copy those out of there, and we're going to put them into our request here. Hopefully this works. All right, we're going to do a go. So we get this pretty generic looking thing. So let's see if it worked. I'll open up a new terminal here. Jack up the font. And let's try to telnet into this device. And remember, we're using port 8383. Hey, look, it worked. So with just that one little one post request with this ZyXH client command injection payload in there, we were able to start a telnet listener, and it just drops us into a shell here, and it is a root shell. So with this, we've effectively got complete control over the device. We can do whatever we want with the data that's stored inside. We could use it as a pivot point to access other devices on the internal network. And this ZyXEL device is essentially ours at this point. So there we have our telnet shell. We can step this up a notch if we'd like. If we head back to this request here, there's something you guys may have noticed, but there is no cross-site request forgery protection here. So there's no anti-CSRF tokens or anything like that. This is a standard HTML form. So we can even just use this, like, we can use Burp Suite's CSRF proof of concept generator. Just very easy, just to show that this works. And what this does is it generates an HTML page that will, it has a button that when you click it, it'll send this request on the user's behalf. So we can go ahead and do that right now for everyone. Actually, let's change the port number so that way it's a different one so you can see it worked. We'll do 8384. Generate the proof of concept URL. Then I'll head back over here. So I have this logged in user. I'm going to load up this page. I'm going to press this button. So what this did was it sent that form request in the background. And then we should just be able to telnet to the device on port 8384 this time. And there you go. We can see that it worked again there. So we can use our payload in a CSRF attack. So with this, we don't even need authentication to the device. We just need to trick some user who is authenticated into the device to issue this request on our behalf. And you would probably want to clean this up a little bit to make it more weaponized. But we have the underpinnings here for complete control of the device. And so with that, we've showed what we can do here with the ZyXEL NAS. And I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, I hope everyone liked that.
That's it.
Good job.
Have a good day, everyone.